What we'll find is that these writers have lifted verbatim passages and sequences from Tolkien's work, because they're incapable of coming up with something compelling on their own. So, on with the episode. Elrond and Galadriel are off to Eregion because they're worried about Celebrimbor. For some reason, this has taken 3 episodes to get around to. Instead of immediately thinking, oh, we haven't heard back from Celebrimbor in fucking ages, let's maybe, I don't know, check he's okay. Anyway, we're off, travelling 150 leagues. Oh, that's weird. The writers are taking the distance between things seriously now. After a season and a half of people teleporting around and getting to places across Middle-earth in an afternoon, the attempt in having travel time now is now inconsistent with the inconsistencies of the rest of the show. Is it better to be consistently inconsistent, or just change to a rule that should have been in place since the start, halfway through your second season? We get some aerial shots of them running. Wait, they're running? Why aren't they on horseback? 150 leagues is a long way to run, especially when it's an urgent mission you're on. I think it might be because they wanted their reference to the Fellowship of the Ring and how they had to walk a long way. But in The Lord of the Rings, they justified it. It wasn't just some contrived aesthetic choice. They had to go through Moria and so had to let the horses go because they know they wouldn't be able to come back for them. Then they had to go off trail a lot of the time because they were being hunted, so they had to be silent and quiet and, hide. Having horses would probably hinder that. Think about it, writers, before you just throw in some cool aesthetic running across a mountain, which is weird. Oh wait, hold on. Are they CGI people? They don't look real. That's weird. I don't think they're real. Then after some running, some unspecified amount of time, who knows, they come across a bridge that's been destroyed. I wonder what evil force could have done this.
Lightning.
What the fuck are you on about, Elrond? The bridge is gone. It's in complete ruin. And you think lightning did this? But it's fine because Galadriel is here to tell him why he's wrong and tell us the obvious answer. It was Sauron. I don't know how it's Sauron. He was being in Eregion the whole season, so told the orcs to... No, he couldn't have told the orcs to do it because they're on Adar's side and Adar doesn't like Sauron anymore. I don't fucking know. Sauron destroyed a bridge at some point, probably in the last few days. Why would this bridge be destroyed by Sauron for any other reason than to stop Galadriel and Elrond from getting to Celebrimbor? Anyway, since the bridge was destroyed by lightning, the elves have to choose whether to go the long way round or the more dangerous shorter way. We know it's the dangerous choice because the ring tells Galadriel it is. You know, the ring that Sauron made. So Elrond, being somewhat cleverer than everybody else in this show, doesn't trust the warning of the ring saying that they shouldn't go a certain way because it's dangerous. But what are we meant to think? That the ring is deceiving her and making her choose to go the safer way, or telling the truth and saying she should go the safer way? What? Because Elrond is super smart and doesn't trust the ring and thinks bridges get absolutely obliterated by lightning, he decides to trust the ring and go the dangerous way. Or he's not trusting it by going the dangerous way.
Sauron means for us to go that way. We must go another.
Ah, well, Galadriel, Elrond is playing 4D chess and decided to outwit Sauron by going that way, so, okay. I also find it funny that the other elf told them of the slower possible journey despite not having any other information that would mean a shorter way wouldn't be chosen by default. It's almost as if he knew what the script needed him to say so that a choice had to be made in regard to the ring's wishes. When we find out the ring was telling the truth and they shouldn't have gone to the Barrow Downs, it makes you wonder, the ring that the Dark Lord made was actually trying to help? I don't know, I feel like these rings are a bit inconsistent. They're evil, Elrond doesn't trust them, they're helpful, they restore Lindon. If anything, that makes Sauron look really stupid. He's created rings that kind of tempt people and deceive them into things, but also don't at all. They help them and tell them what's wrong, and then the characters, because they're fucking stupid and don't really know what to do anyway, decide to not trust the ring that they should trust based on information. It's a bit 50-50, and I don't know quite what the writers are going for. There's a lot of Galadriel's making the right choice, okay, deal with it, and Elrond is there to be like a contrarian to that, but like she's just right regardless. Even if she's wrong for a little bit, what we find out and what we can understand from season 1 and this season, the first few episodes, is by the end, Galadriel will be correct. She was correct the whole time, and people just had to realize that. And that's really fucking boring.
What are they?
Barrow-whites.
Now, all you book readers out there will probably recognise the Barrow-whites, only you won't because these aren't anything like how they're depicted in the books. Also, instead of being sent here by the Witch King of Angmar in the Third Age, they've been arbitrarily shoved into this story taking place at the end of the Second Age, because Sauron has awoken them or something. They've just changed it for some reason. You could have come up with something new. You didn't have to have Barrow-whites. Now this cannot possibly be in line with the Lord of the Rings. Did the writers read the books and think, ooh, those look cool, let's have that, but not consider any of the lore? But now instead of wraith-like beings, they're floating skeletons. I guess they got the blue eyes right. They've managed to escape from the Barrow-whites, and they're hanging out in the forest when the plot decides to come and say hello, and a horse just is running past them. And also, there are orcs around that shoot at it with their arrows. They manage to just miss the horse so badly that they hit a random elf. That elf is so far away from the horse, and the arrow has just gone straight into his gut. He's just somehow gotten in the crossfire. Which orc shot that one to miss so badly? But I guess it's so that they can showcase the power of the ring. That's not how that works. It can save people from death now, but since he made a noise after being hit by an arrow, the orcs are suspicious and they start to investigate, but they investigate really slowly so that they can have a chat and decide how they're going to try and escape. Galadriel decides to attack them head on to let everybody else get away, and we get the girl boss moment of the episode. She throws a lantern up, shoots it with an arrow, but instead of it just crashing to the floor like it would do, it explodes. It's like, how does a lantern explode on impact? Like, that's ridiculous. And all the fire just goes on all the orcs. It's insane. I don't know. And then as the fight kind of comes to an end, she's just on horseback, sitting still, and the orcs aren't bothering to shoot her with the bow and arrows they were shooting the original horse at, because plot reasons, I guess. Well, hey, it's Tom Bombadil. Oh, fucking. You know, the character Peter Jackson famously omitted from his trilogy because he would have clashed with the tone. You see, the problem was that Peter Jackson wasn't willing to annihilate the point of the character or his thematic relevance in the story. But here in Rings of Power, we're not bound by such arbitrary limitations. We alter anything we like for our own message and then pass it off as an original idea. Stupid Peter Jackson and his creative integrity getting in the way of telling a story set in Middle-earth better than Tolkien could. Idiot. It's the 21st century, don't you know? And that means Tom Bombadil is here. Only it's not really Tom Bombadil. It's what the writers remember him being like from reading the books 20 years ago, and they're not being smart enough to understand what he's like and why he's like that. Also, Goldberry is here, but she's also not here. It's weird, because in the books, she is there. She's in the house. The hobbits talk to her. I don't know why she's invisible or not there, and then Tom Bombadil's like, doesn't know who is in the room with him, even though he just talked to her. It's a bit confusing. I don't know why she's just not a character. They even just have him say the same words he says to the hobbits in Fellowship.
He knew the dark under the stars when it was fearless.
Tom was there before the river and the trees. Eldest. That's what I am.
Tom remembers the first raindrop and the first acorn.
And they copy the Old Man Willow sequence, only they throw Gandalf into it instead. They really are just speedrunning the references in this episode. Only they're not references. They're almost exactly the same as they are in the book, only this time with a different character. If you're going to have Tom Bombadil or the Barrow-whites in the episode, but then change them so drastically so they no longer resemble the original version, then you might as well call them something else. Only that new label won't reel in the fans, and it won't be nearly as interesting as a thing created by Tolkien.
Nobody's that stupid.
I'm not going to talk about Nori and Bori because there is nothing to say about them. They meet hobbits. They say that Gandalf, not Gandalf, is a grand elf, and that is his name, and that's going to come in. That's going to be a payoff at the end of the season, I guess. We'll see, because they've been stringing us along for way too long on that one, because we very quickly realised that this is either Gandalf or Saruman, and it's becoming abundantly clear every time he's on screen that it's definitely Gandalf, so I don't know why they're pretending like we shouldn't already know that. But anyway, in the other subplot, Isildur and the elf guy want to look for Theo because he's gone missing. Anyway, they decide to go walking like everybody else in the episode, but Isildur gets stuck in some mud. How did this happen? Of all people, why do the writers choose him to make fun of? Galadriel gets away with everything. This elf guy just looks stoic. And then Isildur's walking, and then we cut to him, and he's half submerged in mud. What? How did we get here? The elf guy tries to help him, him, but they both get sucked into the mud. So the woman grabs a stick to help them, because a stick is definitely going to help. They then emerge from this big monster out of the ground. This is presented as a turning point for this character because she chose to try to save them, but neither Isildur or Elfman know this. They were both in the stomach of this creature. The dramatic irony is there, but they should still have no reason to trust her, which means moving forward, the choice given to Isildur to unlock the restraints isn't justified in the slightest.
Is that the key to the manacles?
Oh, I don't know, Isildur. What other key is it going to be? But this is now it for their relationship being developed. It's just like superficial, pseudo-romantic dialogue. And whenever there is something meaningful to say, it turns out to be a double cross by the woman to try and escape anyway. So it's very misaligned.
Astrid,
Hagen, you're here. Look at you.
This was just an episode of walking, but nobody making any smart decisions or just getting lucky. They're not killed in every bit of action. Tom Bombadil has been just shot to bits. He's nothing like he is in the books. The Barrow-whites are nothing like they are in the books. I don't mind if you change things for the sake of your story, but have nothing, like, the changes don't mean anything. They're so vacuous and don't have much of an impact on the story outside the scene they're in. Especially with the Barrow-whites, they might as well just be the version they were in the books. Like, this change doesn't necessarily mean anything, so I don't know why it was done. This episode was so insulting to what was presented to us in the books that it just makes the writers look stupid.